Hi, I'm Mr. D, Chief Instructor of Mr. D's Karate Academy. I believe I speak for martial arts instructors all across the country when I say that one of the things that we enjoy most about what we do is teaching children and watch them as they learn and develop the kinds of skills and techniques that allows them to be able to go and compete in tournaments. Ever since I was in my school back in 1976 and began teaching, my students and I have been big supporters of martial arts tournaments. I often tell my students that martial arts tournaments are to martial arts students what baseball games are to people who play baseball, what football games are to people who play football, and so on. I believe that martial arts tournaments give students a chance to do more than just win beautiful trophies. I tell my students when they compete and win, it means that the martial arts skills and techniques that they're studying and practicing in my classes are improving. And when they lose, it's just another way to help them understand what they need to do to improve. Over the past 45 years, I've had the great honor of enrolling and teaching thousands of students and helping them achieve their dreams and goals in the martial arts. Being able to go and compete in martial arts tournaments and bring home trophies is one of the things that inspires my students to keep studying and practicing and improving their techniques as they advance to higher ranks. I can't say for sure how many tournaments my students and I have been invited to over the past couple of years, but there have been many. A few of the tournaments that we were invited to this year and the promoters who invited us are Promoter John Barton, 2022 King Cobra Karate Open, January 22nd, Erie, PA. Promoter Dave Bucher, 2022 March Madness Karate National Championship, March 19th, Boardman, Ohio. Promoter Brad Rammel, 2022 Stone Tag Martial Arts Tournament, April 23rd, Rockford, Ohio. Promoter Frank Carlillo, 2022 Summer Super Brawl Martial Arts Open, June 4th, Talmadge, Ohio. Promoter Bill Viola, 2022 Summer Shiai, July 30th, North Vasilla, Pennsylvania. Promoter James DeCore, 2022 Elite Nationals, October 22nd, Rocking River, Ohio. Promoter Jacques Tarr, 2022 UpMac National Finals, November 12th, Fredericktown, Ohio. Promoter Lee Harris, 2022 King of the Ring Martial Arts Tournament, November 19th, Akron, Ohio. Promoter Doug Yates, 2022 MVTA Grand Championship, December 3rd, Xenia, Ohio. At each of these tournaments, my students got a chance to meet and compete against some of the toughest tournament competitors in the region. Some of them were state and regional top-ranked competitors in their division. Some of them were also competitors that my students competed against before at other tournaments over the past couple of years. At each of the tournaments that my students go and compete in, they compete in weapon katas, empty hand katas, and kumite. Over the past couple of years, I've had anywhere from 10 to 70 students at a time go and compete in some of these tournaments. And I'm proud to say that most of them almost always come home with first and second place trophies in each of the events that they compete in. And sometimes they even come home with a few grand championship trophies. If the tournament includes grappling competition, they compete in that form of competition as well. I mention grappling competition because grappling lessons is also a part of the training program at Mr. D's Karate Academy. It's a training program that allows my students to not only be able to go and compete in tournaments where they must be able to use kicking and punching techniques to win their matches, but also go and compete in tournaments where they must be able to use all kinds of throws, takedowns, pins, and submission techniques to win their matches. Martial arts tournaments are not the main focus of training at Mr. D's Karate Academy or any other martial arts school for that matter, but it is one of the things that have been inspiring students to enroll in martial arts schools across the country for decades. Children become involved in the martial arts for lots of different reasons. Many of them become involved after watching movies like Return of the Dragon, starring Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris, Karate Kid, starring Ralph Macchio, Mutant Ninja Turtles, starring Ernie Reyes Jr., and many other movies that include movie stars with martial arts tournament backgrounds. Some children become involved in the martial arts after being invited by a friend or a family member to come and watch a few classes. I believe there's a direct correlation between what motivates students to train the way they do to be able to go and compete in martial arts tournaments and what motivates them to train the way they do to become capable of defending themselves. After enrolling in my classes, martial arts tournaments become one of the things that motivates my young students to come to class sometimes as often as 3 to 4 times a week. Many of them also start going and competing in martial arts tournaments within a month or two after enrolling in my classes. Sometimes they even end up winning a trophy when they go to their first tournament. As my students advance to higher ranks, most of them also start winning and bringing home trophies in each of the events that they compete in, almost every time they go and compete. And I'm proud to say that the more they win, the more it motivates them to keep coming to class and improving their techniques. I encourage my students to become involved in martial arts tournaments because I believe it gives them a chance to go and test a lot of the skills and techniques that they're studying and practicing in my class. Our training program includes studying and practicing karate, grappling, and kobudo. These 3 forms of martial arts allow our students to be able to go and compete in not just one, but each of the 3 major forms of competition open to the competitors at most of the tournaments that we go to. Our weapon training program includes studying and practicing with the bow staff, sai, tonfas, and samurai swords. When my students go to tournaments, they compete with whichever one of these weapons they feel they will have a better chance of winning with. For weapon katas, the competitors go up one at a time before a panel of judges and perform a series of blocking and striking techniques against 2 or more imaginary opponents. After each performance, the judges score the competitors based upon speed, power, balance, and concentration. For empty-hand katas, the competitors go up before a panel of judges again and perform a series of blocking and striking techniques, but this time they perform without their weapons. The scores that the competitors receive for empty-hand katas are also based upon speed, power, balance, and concentration. The most popular form of competition that's open to the competitors at martial arts tournaments is kumite, also known as point sparring. For this form of competition, the competitors are matched up to compete against each other like kickboxers. To score points in this form of competition, the competitors use kicking and punching techniques against each other. But the rules are what makes point sparring look different from what you see when you watch a kickboxing match. The competitor must be quick enough to strike his opponent before his opponent can strike him, and he must also be skillful enough to avoid striking with excessive contact. As soon as one of the competitors makes contact, the referee stops the match just long enough to verify the point and then restarts the match. The winner of the match is the first competitor who scores the number of points required to win the match, or the competitor who has the most points at the end of the time limit. I've heard people say that these competitors would not be able to defend themselves in a real fighting situation with the kinds of techniques that they use to win their matches. But people who believe that are obviously unaware that most of these competitors come from martial arts schools just like mine, where they also study and practice grappling, jiu-jitsu, and kickboxing. Martial arts tournaments have been around for a long time, and they're still very popular. Most of them are tournaments that are open to competitors of all styles and systems of the martial arts. Several of them are held almost every weekend somewhere in the country. At many of these tournaments, the number of competitors who go and compete in them are usually anywhere from around 150 to 800. Most of the tournaments that my students go and compete in are sanctioned by a rating organization that allows competitors to be able to win state, regional, and national championship titles in age groups from 6 years old and up, and rank levels from white belts to black belts. Most of them are rated by USKA, PKC, PKRA, TKA, MVTA, or UPMAG. Sometimes they're rated by 2 or 3 of these organizations. I'm proud to say that several of my students currently hold top 10 competitive status in a couple of these rating organizations. A few of them also hold national championship titles in their divisions. I would like to thank all of the promoters who invited my students to come and compete in their tournaments this year. I would also like to say congratulations to my students for all of their hard work and their outstanding 2022 martial arts tournament accomplishments.